Kum lernen ab last tomorrow. It's Erev Shabbat Kedesh Pashaneach. Today's daf is Gimel Amar Aleph. So we learned that the three categories of the Nedarim. There's the actual vows themselves in the Nedarim. Then we have the kinui of the Nedarim, which we talked about an argument between Rabbi Yechon and Reish Lakish, whether according to Rabbi Yechon, it's L'shoinei shel Nochrim, it's just common language, any language you say it in, and it's not Torah. And according to even butchered up words, and according to the Shlakish, it's Lashon Shabadu HaChachamim. These are words that were made up by the Chachamim in order to avoid you saying that it's like a carbon, and you might add the word Hashem, and you might say the word Hashem before carbon, which we'll talk more about later in the Gemara in a couple of weeks. And then the third category is called Yodos. Yodos means a handle to the pot. It's not the pot itself, it's merely a handle. I mean, you made a sentence, but it's sort of incomplete. And the Mishnah gave us examples of that. And we said the Mishnah omitted the heading of the Yodos Nedarim. So now the Gemara wants to know, how do we know that Yodos Nedarim is also a neder? An incomplete neder is considered a neder from the Torah. So that's where we're up to Gimel Amar Aleph. Says the Gemara. We're right in the middle of the page, where the first word of the line is Karneach Kainim. The yod is heichaksiv. Where do we find in the Torah that the yad, the handle of a net, is also considered a net from the Torah? Says the Gemara, because the very pasuk which talks about the Nedarim says ish ki yafli. If somebody, yafli means to express, as a little later of Tarfon, where he learns from the word haflo. Somebody is yafli lindoy neder. Now this you have to make a neder, but it's doubled up lindoy neder, and we'll come back to that. And then nozir lahazir. Hashem. And interesting, even though doubled up, it reversed the order. By neder it says to make a neder, and by nozir it says a nozir lehazir. Obviously, there's something trying to be told. There's time to be learned. So we're going to learn from nozir, and we're going to say that the way the Torah wrote the words nozir, you're a nozir already. Lehazir. What does that mean? Nozir lehazir lasses kinin azidus. It's coming to tell you that even the kinin of a nozir. Usually you have the verb first, and then followed by the noun. Here you have the noun nazir, and then followed by the verb nazir to make a nazir. So therefore, we learn out from here that to tell you, our teachers did. Last says kinu naziris kinaziris. So tell us that the kinu of a nazir is a nazir, and the yodis naziris kinaziris. And so too, if it's incomplete, so we learn yodis from the fact that it says nazir lahazir. Even though you didn't say exactly the full nazir, it's still good enough. Says the Gemara, ainly so all we know is by nazir. The yad of a nazir is even though it's an incomplete sentence, is considered as if you're a nazir. But the Nedarim, how do you know if the same thing applies to neder? So we're going to say Tam Lim. It says we're going to use the one of the 13 methods called a hekesh, since it's written in the same pasuk. So we're going to equate one to another, and whenever you make a hekesh, you go both ways. So we're going to learn things from nazir. We're also going to learn things from neder. Tam Lim, ishki yapel the neder, nazir lahaz l'shem, makish nazir as nedarim. We don't equate to each other. First, what do we learn from nazir? Man nazir is also by yodas nazir. By nazir we say a partial, a yad is good enough. Half Nedarim, so too by Nedarim. Also, behem yadas Nedarim Nedarim. We treat the yad of a neder just like a neder. Okay, so we're learning from nazir. Now, what do we learn from neder? What does nazir learn from neder? Two things. Man Nedarim over bal yachal or bal ta'acher. By Nedarim, the Torah says that if you make a neder, you shouldn't. There's a lap there. You shouldn't desecrate your neder. So by nazir, apart from drinking wine, let's say you without Aveda drinking wine, there's another Aveda. Aveda is Bal Yachel. So by nazir, by neder, it says two things: do not breach your promise. Bal Yachel. It says it's moitiv sechadish. Does not say you have to keep your word. There's one lav. By nazir, you're going to have whatever lav you did. In addition, you're going to have also you broke your neder, because when you became a nazir, it's like you make a neder and you broke your neder. That's number one. And number two is a Bal Ta'acher. This is Bal Ta'acher by neder. You delayed your neder. If you made a neder to bring a carbon, you're not allowed to delay it. Big machlek is when we say a delay by a carbon, how long is it? Whether it's 3 Yom Tovim, whether it's Sukkot, whether it's first Yom Tov, we had Merishon and all that. So there's a machlek what Bal Ta'acher is. So whatever Bal Ta'acher is, let's say 3 Yom Tovim, is if you make a neder, you have to also abide by a neder within 3 Yom Tovim. And that's Baltacha. So we're going to say the same thing applies to Nazirus. Oive Bal Yachal, you're Oive Bal Yachal, or Baltacha. If you delay your Nazirus, you're Oive Baltacha. Exactly what that means, we'll see later in the Gemara. How are you Oive Baltacha by Nazirus? So that's number one. Uman Nedarim. There's an interesting Meiri that talks about that that Bal Yachal is a Baltacha, you're over. He talks about, he draws a parallel between like Solin's Char Sacher and Bal Ta'acher. You're not allowed to delay payment to your employees and Bal Ta'acher. He says that when it comes to like Solin's Char Sacher, the moment you didn't pay them on time, you're over, and that's it. But Bal Ta'acher, every minute that you delay, you are over. And then he tries to work out why should that be so. Why should Bal Ta'acher be every minute that, every day, every minute that you're over another Aveda, yet when it comes to Bal Sol, only once. And he says as follows. When the Aveda is forevermore, after you committed it, it's always there. So it's the same Aveda, so it's only one off. When it comes to Bal Ta'acher, it's carbon, you can only bring carbon by day. So every night, you're not only Bal Ta'acher because you couldn't bring it anyway. So every day becomes a new Aveda. So any Aveda which the nights intersect and separate one day from the next becomes a new Aveda every single day. It's a big Chiddush. And everybody's trying to understand then what about, for example, by your by a matzah? Why are you over every minute you have chametz by your no difference day or night? So you're over once you have chametz in your house once, and that's it. What's the difference? And they try to work it out. Anyway, another thing we must know, a father can annul the Nedarim of his daughter. A husband can annul the Nedarim of his wife. So too by Nazirus. If a girl wants to become Nazir, of Meifin is Bitay, father can annul the Nazir of his daughter, or Baal Meifin is the husband can make for the Nazir of his wife. Says the Gemara, I don't understand. So you're telling me you learn from Nazir, and why you learn from Nazir? Because right now the Gemara speaks of duplicate words. It says, Nazir lehazir. No, by Neder also says Linda Neder. It says also double up. So why do you have to learn from a hekesh? Learn from it directly. If the main point here is that it's a double up, then why don't we learn directly from that? Why do you even have to go ahead and make a hekesh for it all? What's the point of that? So the Gemara. The case of Lamni when the hekesh was because of Nedalinda could it cost. Says the Gemara, if the Torah would have written the same words by Neder, like it says by Nazir says the noun first followed by the verb. If by Neder would have said the same thing. Neder, Linda, the noun followed by the verb, you're right. We learned directly from Neder. Because, like you just said, if the Torah were written by Neder, just like written by Nazir, then you're right, no way to make a Neder. So therefore, the way the Torah wrote by Neder, that's how people speak. And because that's how people speak, even though it's a double up, we're not going to learn anything from there because we have a rule. Sometimes the Torah repeats itself twice because that's how people speak. Says he more than that in itself is a machlekes. Because that makes sense. Obviously, the Torah talks that way, so we can't learn from the fact that it's written double. Okay, I understand. So therefore we have to learn from the Nazir and make a hekesh. But nonetheless, you don't learn from. You don't say that highly in the Nedam. What do you do with the fact? No, the Torah is very particular, so we could have learned from the double up Neder. Why do you have to learn from hekesh from Nazir? Let's darshan lasses yodas and dorim get dorim. Umakish nazir and dorim. See, Takir says, you're right. According to the one who holds, this is an answer. According to the one who holds that the Torah does not speak like people, you're right. In fact, from the double up neder, that's what we learn at yodas, and we don't even need the double up nazir. And the fact that Torah writes a double up nazir is not to teach you the same din, because what for? You could have learned from hekesh. From the thing that was written first, Neder. There's another din that we learn out from the double of Nazir, and that is last says Yodas Dorim. That's from the beginning. Umakish Nazir Dorim. So Nazir Lahazir Dorim. What does he do? Nazir Lahazir Malama teacher Naziris Ho Ala Naziris. So let's say if somebody said, "I'll be a Nazir," and 5 minutes later he said it again. The chiddush is that you become a double Nazir. Each Naziris is 30 days, so you become Nazir for 30 days, and then you become Nazir again for 30 days. So we have now 2 ways of learning the pasuk. According to the one who holds that the Torah speaks the way the Dibur Torah Lashon like people, so then we learn Nazir lahazir, we learn out the idea of Yodis, and we make a hekesh neder from Nazir. And what we don't know is, how do we know that Nazir is Chalal Nazir? How do you know that if you're Nazir and you say it again, that you become a Nazir double twice? 3 days, then you bring your Kabbalah, you become a Nazir again. We don't know yet. But the one who holds that the Torah does not speak like people, then we learn the idea of Yodis from Nid the Neder. And from Nazir Hazir, we learn out that Nazir is Chol Nazir. Says the Gemara, Nu Takulaman, the one who says that when the Neder, that's how Torah speaks. The Nazir Hazir, Dodish, Lasa Yodis, Nizig Ziris. Lasa Yodis. And from Nazir Hazir, we learn out the idea of Yodis. Tell me, the Ziris, Ziris, Chol Nazir, this idea by Nazir, that you Nazir is Chal Nazir, but no, how does he learn from? He uses Nazir Lahazir to teach you the idea of Yodis, and then he learn from Nazir. So what does he learn, or where does he learn that one Nazir is Chal and not Nazir? So Gemara says, so it will all make sense. It doesn't. Isville, you hold command number, ain't Nazir is Chal Nazir, so there's no double Nazir is fine. Ella Isville, command number, Nazir is Chal Nazir, they always like the opinion that says there is one Nazir type of Nazir. Where does he learn it from? Manala, where you learn from? He needs the word Nazir Lahazir to teach you the idea of Yodis, because Linda Neder is deeper Torah than others, how people speak. Name a crow, somewhere else I'll tell you how we know. Because we can learn two different dinim from the words Nazir Lahazir. First of all, for the double up, so that's how we know the idea of Yodis. But we also learn the double up, the second word is Lahazir. It doesn't have to say Lahazir, it could have said Lizer. The extra hey, because it's written the extra hey, teaches us a separate din, and that separate din is that the first din is Yodis, second din is that Nazir is Chalal Naziris. Name a crow, let it say Lizer, my Lehazir. Why is it Lehazir? And ideas, since it says Lin Donedet, it should have written the same format by does it. Okay, we changed the order around to teach you Yodis, but it could have just said not Lehazir, but Lizer, which is like Linda. Why does it deliberately change from Linda or Lizer to Lahazir? Shamavnei Targlan to from there. Amri, Marova Amri, in Estrol, they say as follows. They say you cannot learn 2 dinim from Nazir Lahazir. Because you cannot learn 2 dinim from Nazir Lahazir, they learn as follows. They learn, if you hold that Loy Dibra Torah Kmosh Adam, so from Linda Neder you learn out Yodis. For Nazir Lahazir you learn out the idea of a Nazir coincide on top of another Nazir, and then there's a third puzzle which has Kol HaYotzeh B'Piviyasa, whatever comes out of your mouth, you have to follow. From there they learn out the idea that if a neder should bottle mitzvah, bottle kuli. If the person makes a complete neder, and the rabbis were, I guess, were mefer or mater part of the neder, then the entire neder falls apart. Because the pasuk says that the entire neder that comes out of your mouth you have to abide by. But if part of it you don't have to anymore by halacha, then you don't abide by the rest. So they learn 3 different dinim from 3 different parts. They don't learn any double dinim from one else. That's them. However, that opinion that says Lo Dibra Torah K'Lashem B'nei Adam, sorry, that Torah says that Dibra Torah B'nei Adam, so you cannot use that Linda to teach you anything. So you learn. So where did they learn everything from? That follows. So there we said before we learned 2 dinim from Lahazir. What did they learn from Lahazir? You learned Yodis from there, and from there also they learned the second din. They learned from Nazir Lahazir. The second thing is that a neder should bottle mitzvah, bottle kulei. This is how it works. The East hand the mapel Yodis Melinda neder, we said before, and that's the one who holds that Loy Dibra Torah Shem. The East hand, the other hand, the mapel, he learns it out. He doesn't want to learn from Nazir Lahazir. He learns from Mikol Yotzeh B'Piviyasa. Anything comes out of your mouth, even just a partial neder, just a yad, you have to follow. You said before, yep, so Bishlam have a problem. But it's not exactly the same. As we said before, by neder, if you don't follow your neder, you're over one of it. You didn't follow your neder. But when it comes to what do you call it? When it comes to in the Ziris, you're actually over 2 averes. You drank the wine, let's say the Torah said don't drink wine, and by yachal. So it's not exactly the same. Two obeys versus one. Can you make such a hekish? Says he, what do you mean you find Bal Yachal by Nedarim? Keep going. For example, the Amar, he says, Kikezu Eichel, I will eat this bread, but Eichel didn't eat it. So what Aveda did he do? Oivad, he didn't Aveda, Bal Yachal, he didn't follow his words. Ela Bal Yachal the Naziris. But by Nazir, when you, let's say, drink wine, you're a Nazir and you shouldn't drink wine, or you went to a cemetery, you shouldn't drink cemetery, or you cut your hair when you shouldn't have. How would you find a case where the only Avera you did was Bayachal? Kiva Damar, as soon as you said Harini Nazir, Havle Nazir, Nazir. Ochal, if you ate, Kamba Bayachal, you ate grapes, you're Bayachal Shasa, you drank Kamba Bayachal, you shouldn't drink. So it's two Avedas. Amarova says, oh, you're right. Lavar Ola Bishnayim. Doesn't mean they have to be exactly the same, that you're only over one Aveda. It means that just like by Neder, you're over by Yachal. True, so the only Aveda you're over. When it comes to Nazir, you're over whatever Aveda he did, plus Bal Yachal. Now, Rabbi Kiva Eger asks here a very strong question, and he finishes off with an expression that he hardly ever uses. This question is, what did we explain on Neder is? Just like yesterday, Neder is on the Chefza, that you place an Isser on the object, and the Shvu is on the person. So all the Dorim are negative. This piece of meat is forbidden to me. This loaf of bread is forbidden to me. That's what a neder is. You can't make a neder positive. I will eat this bread. What do you mean it's on the chayfetz? So the Gilin Shas here, which is Rabbi Kiva Eger, asks, he doesn't understand. You can't make a neder in a kumbas say. And he concludes by saying, Hashem yoyer einai. I hope that Hashem can open my eyes to explain the Gemara. But actually, because of that question, or maybe not because of that question, but there's another version of the Gemara, which is loy oichel, and the ochla, that he said, this bread I will not eat, and then he ate it. That's what neder is. Anyhow, the Gemara continues, so we explained by Yachel. And what about Baal Tach? It says Baal Ta'ach, the Nazir is Hechem Mishkach. Where do you find Baal Ta'ach by a Nazir? The idea of delaying a Nazir, the moment you say that I'm a Nazir, you're a Nazir already. So what do you mean delaying? If you're not going to follow the rules, you should do another one after another. So what do you mean you're delaying Nazirs? How do you delay it? Said most question. The moment you said I'm a Nazir, how do Nazir? You're a Nazir straight away. And what happened? You delay. You decide I'm going to eat grapes, drink wine. Oh, come by Yochel. You'll be over in a way. Says the Gemara, you know what we're talking about? He said, "Likisha Ertz. I will be Nazir when I so desire." So therefore, you're over delaying because you didn't bother doing it straight away. When I desire, I'll become a Nazir. Says the Gemara. If so, you're taking that over. The tak is not batacha because you didn't give us that time. You said when I'm in the mood, and well, if you're not in the mood, how can you be over? Omar says, keep going. For example, the Omar he said, I will not die from this world. Hey Nazir, I will be a Nazir. If he said I won't die from this world, I won't die without being a Nazir first. So that's what we're saying, that don't delay, do it straight away. Because you're a young man, so you have plenty of time. No, because we'll find a similar din, as we'll see in a minute, by Truma. If a person says to his wife that I'm giving you a get 1 hour before I die, he wants to protect her, make sure he doesn't end up with his brother, let's say. So he says that this get will become activated a minute before I pass away. So let's say if she's married to a Kohen, she can no longer eat Truma because every minute maybe he'll die. So we see that we don't just say, oh, he's young, we don't look at the age. We just say that it's a possibility. So the same thing by Nazir. It's a possibility, even though it's not exactly the same thing, because over there, since it's avoiding to do something, and so we're being machmer. Over here, we're saying that he should become a nazir, but here it's more than that. Here it's a 30-day period. There it's 1 minute before he passes away, and yet we're machmer. So surely here, when you have to be a nazir for 30 days, you got to give yourself time. So maybe and nobody knows what's going to be tomorrow. So they should become another straight away, and that's what Baltachet is. So Mor explains. But he tried to have Nazir. From that moment onwards, he's a Nazir. So by Neder Baltachet is very simple. You made a promise, you bring a carbon. So a carbon you got to bring straight away. You got to be or Baltachet for 3 type. There's over Baltachet. But over here, what's it din? By a carbon, there's different whole bunch of opinions. When you make a net that's ring a carbon and Baal Ta'acher, is that a din in the carbon or is that a din in the neder? Remember, we also discussed in the beginning if the main neder, it should be like a carbon or not. It's not a din of carbon, it's a neder, because if it's a din of carbon, and by a carbon we give you 3 Yom Tovim, because not everybody, you live far away, you have to bring it to the base of Mikdash. Then any other neder, Baal Ta'achar, is straight away, not 3 Yom Tovim. When the Gemara says over here Baal Ta'achar by Nazir, do we also mean 3 Yom Tovim, or do we mean straight away? From the Gemara's context, it seems that straight away. But if we're learning from by neder, by a carbon, there it's 3 Yom Tovim, it also should be 3 Yom Tovim. As a big machlik is the shayim, whether take by when we say Baal Ta'achar by a neder or Baal Ta'achar by Nazir, would be 3 Yom Tovim or not. Because of those who learn, the Baal Ta'achar is a din of neder, and just like there's 3 Yom Tovim, so we're here also 3 Yom Tovim. Others say no. That's a din in carbon. When you make a promise to bring a carbon, the carbon needs, it gives you 3 Yom Tovim, you have to give it time. Either to be zeis, or because people don't travel and they don't go every Yom Tov, so therefore we're thinking 3 Yom Tovim. Between 3 Yom Tovim, definitely you travel once to Yerushalayim. When it comes to a neder, wherever you are, you can follow your neder, then what do you need 3 Yom Tovim for? Then the minute you make the neder, there's a Baal Ta'achar, don't delay. You said you'll give tzedakah, do it straight away. So we'll see later in Abches that you can do Nedarim to do mitzvahs. And the Rambam talks about how it's a positive thing, how neder works. Then, so, but when it comes to Nazir, also straight away you're able Baal Ta'achar. So it depends how we understand Baal Ta'achar. Anyways, I'm always asking the question. Immediately, a person his wife. This is 1 hour before I pass away. This you get Asura lecha b'trum meyachi forbidden the truma straight away. Alma, what do we see? Amarina, we say koshata b'shata. Every moment dilma mais. How do you know that the person won't pass away? So when machmer, she can no longer eat truma. I'm here too. Alter having us immediately is a us. I mean, we say dilma hashta mais. Maybe he'll die straight away. So that's what Baal Ta'achar comes in. That's how we learn Pshat. The main time is whole Pshat here, but that's how we learn Pshat. Rav Acha by Yaakov gives another answer. He says, Kigoin, for example, the Nazar, if let's say you were standing in a cemetery and you decided to become a Nazar is not allowed to be in a cemetery. And he made the Naziris, so therefore he should go out of the cemetery straight away in order to start the Naziris. He says, I will become a Nazir. He didn't become a Nazir yet. He says, I will become a Nazir. So the Baal Ta'achar is, he has to be able to become a Nazir straight away. And while he's in the cemetery, he can't really be a Nazir. And that's when you're Baal Ta'achar. Says there's a machlekes, if somebody says, declares to become a Nazir while he's standing in the cemetery, does he become a Nazir straight away and he's even a Be'er? Or he doesn't become a Nazir until he steps out. So the one who says that the Ziris does not start straight away, which is a Shlakish until he goes out. So Baal Ta'achar is, you made a promise to become a Nazir straight away, step outside in order to become a Nazir. The one who said, what doesn't start straight away? What's the Baal Ta'achar? You're a Nazir already. What do you mean delaying? What is the Baal Ta'achar? You're already a Nazir, number one. But Mar, the son of Rashi, said, he says, whether you're holding a birch, even a Shlakish, who says that you have to step outside to start Nazir, they both agree your Nazir starts straight away. The only argument is whether you get Malkus for what you did for continuing to stand in the cemetery. They're only arguing regarding Malkus. But according to Yechel, you get Malkus straight away, because since you became a Nazir, you become Malkus. According to Shlakish, since you're already in the cemetery, when you started, you don't get Malkus. Only when you go into the cemetery, you get Malkus. Here, you are already standing in the cemetery, you only Malkus. And so everyone agrees. You don't have to then go ahead. Not like we learned before. The Shlakish holds you have to step outside and accept the Naziris. Everyone agrees that the moment you said I'll be a Nazir, you became a Nazir straight away in the cemetery. Question is whether you get Malkus because you're in the cemetery or you have to walk into the cemetery. So if so, according to everybody, where's the Baal Ta'achar here? So you might know what the Baal Ta'achar is. You're delaying the Naziris of Tahara. Right now you're a Nazir B'tumah, and really, then you have to bring Karbanos and then become a Nazir again for Tahara. I feel comely Baal Ta'achar. You know what the Baal Ta'achar is? You're delaying Naziris of Tahara. You're delaying Naziris of Tahara. You could have become a Nazir of Torah, and you're not. Teach a new dinner. Even if you're a Nazir, but if you delay Naziris Tahara, you're even aware of Baal Ta'achar. If so, if a Nazir decides to become, he's a regular Nazir, he decides to go to the cemetery sometime middle of Ziris, which we learn in the Torah that the days fall off and he has to bring Kabbalah to start all over again. Besides the Aveda of what he did another Aveda. Baltachi delayed the Nazirus of Tara. Why did you deliberately come to me? Even from Baltachi, Nazirus Tara, he's over the Aveda of what? Of delaying Nazirus of Tara. You know what the Baltachi by Nazir is? Even though taking a haircut, when you finish, you complete the Nazir, take a haircut, you're in Kabbanis and all that, taking a haircut, that is not ma'akiv. Even if you didn't take a haircut, you can already drink wine and do all those things. Nevertheless, it's a mitzvah to take a haircut, and you're delaying that. There's a machlek exactly when you take a haircut, right after the Kabbanis or after you already spray the blood and all that, but it doesn't matter. The fact is, whenever you're supposed to do it, you delayed it. We don't have to say that. You don't have to tell me Lemanda Amr to take Rach is not Kevin. The one who holds that opinion holds that not taking a haircut means he's still a Nazir. So therefore, there is about to Achad. If you want to hold that taking a haircut does not really prevent anything. You're already no longer a Nazir. You have a mitzvah to take a haircut. Even according to that opinion, mitzvah geluach mila mekain. There's a mitzvah to take a haircut. You haven't done that, and you're doing taklachas of that. One more line. Mazut Rav Mori Amar oiv about to Achad kabanoisid. That you're over about the acher of not bringing the kabbanas. You ended your naziris, but you didn't rush to bring your kabbanas. You don't mind staying lingering on. And if you follow that, then that about acher definitely is 3 Yom Tovim, because kabbanas is 3 Yom Tovim. And what about the rest of the naziris? According to many, you're over straight away. According to some, also 3 Yom Tovim.